Chocolate is cozy and wonderful.
I am a regular here. Payday is my treat day.
Charlottesville loves artisan foods, and chocolate is no exception. Today we're going to catch up with a pastry chef turned chocolatier who began his culinary career as a dishwasher in a popular local restaurant. Join us as we visit with Tim Gearhart of Gearhart's Fine Chocolates. Come on. So Tim, you were in culinary school in New York City. How did you get from there to chocolate?
Chocolate is always part of my world in pastry. I worked in a lot of small luxury hotels where there was a pretty small show. And so the pastry chef would have to have their hands in a couple of things. And chocolate being one of them, we do a lot of after dinner chocolates, miniardises, petit fours, so chocolate was really part of it.
And so why Charlottesville? Where's that big Charlottesville connection?
Well, I more or less grew up here. My family moved here in the early 80s. And Charlottesville has such a vibrant food scene even then, and obviously continues to this day. And we're just so fortunate to have such a wonderful community here.
Why do you think people, especially in our community, why do you think they love artisan food so much?
It's such an eclectic city, and I think people have whether it's arts, music, food, and I think people are able to find something that they can identify. And this is such a worldly town, with the university,
right.
And frankly, I think the UVA has really had a lot to do with our growth and our successes because of the kind of the ever-changing, rotating group of folks coming through. And these are well-traveled foodie folks, and they love to eat, and they love a lot of those things that were just like that.
Yeah, and your connection is so strong too, because you as you said, you went to high school here, and then you came back after being in culinary school. You worked in a handful of high-end restaurants. Mm-hmm. You met Bill Hamilton, who is now your business partner.
That's true.
You were dishwasher at Dooner's at the very beginning. So that's a great Charlottesville connection.
Yeah, I think it's just, like I said, I paid my dues and did everything from dishwasher, busboy, all the way up to cooking at one of the Sal's Pizzas back in the day, and I did it all. And I think you really want to immerse yourself in a profession as much as you can in the early days to really understand whether it's for you or not.
So talk about what it was that inspired you to start a business.
I think you kind of come to a point in your personal life after paying your dues, working on Christmas Eve and Christmas, and I worked in England for a while where working split shifts was the norm.
Yeah.
And I think that after a while, I think you finally decide to do something else and find your own, maybe make your own mark even a little more. And I think having that right moment in your personal life as well as in our case, the world of chocolate, it was just perfect timing.
And the business was on Main Street for about 15 years.
Correct.
You all recently moved here to right down the street, really not far on Ridge Street, to a much larger location. Tell us about the new location.
Well, I think there were two things when we started that people always told us from the moment we opened our doors over there. It was, can I see the kitchen? And I wish I had a place to sit to enjoy this.
Yeah.
So if we're going to do it, if we're going to make the changes, we're going to do it exactly the way we wanted it.
I know, and now, I imagine families come in, people come in and just sit and stare and watch everything go down.
Yeah, it's exactly, within a couple of weeks of opening this, we got the feedback and the exact behavior that we were hoping for, where the kids would saddle up to our little counter there with a cupcake and on a Saturday afternoon and watching the chocolates and all the activity inside the kitchen, and the folks were going and we'd be picking out a few pieces to take home or whatever. Is exactly what we were hoping for, to really again kind of enhance the experience and bring people into our world a little bit.
I've known about Gearhart's for about 10 years. I used to work at 10 Sushi downtown, and they used to make for us a very special chocolate that was infused with elderflower. And we would fight when the Gearhart's boxes got delivered, and we would run and check and see if any had been broken, because we could justify eating them and not serving them to the customers.
Artisan, I think, is where folks can put their imprint on what they put out. I do it with my wines. Tim can do it with his chocolates. The folks making beer can do it. It's neat.
We should talk about chocolate now.
Sure, what the heck, we're here.
You've had, with the exception of just a few changes
Yep.
here and there, you've had the same 16 chocolate recipes that you came up
We
with.
have, and I will say that Bill was obviously a huge force in this as well. He's a chef by trade.
Okay.
So when you put two chefs together, and we had our little lists of what we wanted to see early on. We knew we wanted to use ancho chili. We knew we wanted to use Earl Grey tea.
So you're the two mad scientists.
Yeah,
there. I can just see
yeah.
you all
It
with
was
your
it was a
pastry chef hats.
Yeah, it was a
concocting.
fun time, and they've had cosmetic changes here and there, but all in all, they're exactly the same.
So rattle them off.
Sure.
Because
Well,
I
we have,
like to. I'm salivating.
Absolutely, yeah. So apricot brandy, the raspberry Zinfandel, vanilla bean brulee, Earl Grey tea, like I mentioned earlier, the maple pecan, which is made with Highland County maple syrup,
Yum.
Taj, which is cardamom, rose, and ginger. We have a malted milk hazelnut, the Maya, which is cinnamon, orange, and ancho chili. The Criolla is our darkest confection, which is made with 73% dark chocolate. Our almond mocha, made with espresso. Our tequila lime, made with añejo tequila and fresh lime zest. Our brown butter caramel. Pistachio toffee orange. This is the Michigan cherry, kind of bringing my roots back a little bit.
Oh my gosh.
And then this is our Kauai, which is macadamia and rum. And then lastly, the mint julep, which is just like it sounds. It's got Jim Beam and fresh mint.
So you go through the same sort of discipline that you do with wine. You would admire the chocolate, you smell it, you chew it up, you don't swallow right away, you let it sit in your mouth just as you would a glass of wine, and enjoy the finish.
It's hard to find a good chocolatier, and they do a really good job with packaging. The customer service is excellent. They have great dark chocolate, and it's a nice treat for yourself or for anybody who loves chocolate.
You talked about how you couldn't really reinvent chocolate. It's been around for many, many, many years, but you could be creative about it and add your own twist. So talk about some of the ingredients that you have used in the past and that you're using now.
I make things that I like to eat, and I'm a little selfish that way. And I think a great example would be the miso caramel. I'd made it as a sauce years ago for a function in DC, and I'd always kind of kept it in the back of my mind as what a great little caramel that would be. So that's exactly what that kind of became. So I've never seen a miso caramel on the market.
I want to try it.
That one particular one is a specialty item that we do, but the caramel here is a brown butter caramel that has some sea salt in it, which is very delicious. That's kind of the original salted caramel.
Because
You're not going to go
caramel is
wrong.
one of my favorites.
Oh, awesome. Well, I love brown butter, and we wanted to find a way to incorporate that into a chocolate. It has that nutty, that wonderful creamy factor, and it's it's a good one.
So good. And you're doing pairings with craft beers and
We do.
wines and whiskey.
I love working with locals and other local businesses and finding those that synergy that it's a win-win for everybody. And not only that, but also continuing to be creative and finding make people kind of think and guess a little bit is kind of our goal.
Well, and you also are involved in the community, and you talk about the story behind the peanut butter puffs.
Peanut butter pups, yeah.
Pups.
Yep.
That's right. Pups, 'cause they're shaped like puppies.
You got it. And it started with my son, Owen. Owen was a precocious 3-year-old at the time and running around like a little crazy man. But I realized one day we just didn't have something that was kid friendly, or a lot of our stuff was very adult themed and spices and teas.
Right.
And so the pups kind of came about because I wanted to have something a little more whimsical and fun. And then what better way to not only bring in some local products, but also bring in a charity, which is Companions for Heroes, which is a veterans organization that pairs PTSD victims with comfort animals from the SPCA. So.
Right, so a fraction of the proceeds go
Yep.
toward that.
Yep,
And
5% of all proceeds. Yep.
And then you have these adorable chocolates that kids absolutely love.
Yeah, it's been we've been doing it for a couple of years now, and it's just been a really great partnership, and couldn't be more happy with it.
Walk us through the process of making chocolates. And then you have a bakery as well
We do.
in the
We
new
do.
location.
We
So
do.
you got
Yeah, we're
about
making
12
everything.
different chocolate-based
Chocolate-centric,
treats.
yeah, and which is, it's really fun for someone that's been doing chocolate for a long time and started in pastry to kind of bring it back around full circle. And
Yeah.
I hadn't touched a chocolate croissant in a long time, but it was just like riding a bike. So, but there's lots of different ways to make chocolates.
Okay.
Several methods, but the way that we've always done it is a kind of a ganache method, which is a true ganache is chocolate, butter, and cream. And so we make the filling, the inside first, and they're kind of freestanding. And then the idea is to incorporate some flavors and some parts of the taste elements there. And then once we enrobe the chocolates or kind of coat the chocolates, then we also can add other things like salt or cherries, dried Michigan cherries on others. So I mean, ways to decorate can also come into play too. But that's the general idea: is you make a ganache first and then coat it or dip it and then decorate it.
Well, you've gone from making, 500 chocolates a day to making about 12,000?
About 12,000 a day is our peak right now, and it can vary. Not every day is like that. That's obviously holidays
Right.
and Valentine's Day, but it's
Right.
it's a change. We had to learn and do it the right way, and that was important. That we really maintain that integrity of what set us apart.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Well, and speaking of that, what is the best part about having this business and being a creative business owner like this?
I mean, it's a chocolate business. I mean,
I know what's not to like.
There's no wrong answer. I mean, we get people walking in the door that they instantly are just like, they get it right away, and that
Yeah.
it's like, I think a lot of cooks get spoiled by that kind of feedback. Now sometimes there is some negative stuff that you have to learn to deal with as well.
Right.
You're looking at people's opinions or you're hearing their opinions.
Right.
But I think in the end, I mean, what better thing to do for a living than to make people happy and make chocolate.
Oh, that's great. Well, I've held this as long as I
know,
can.
you did pretty well.
I did, but I'm done holding it. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna eat chocolate now.
Please.
Thank
You're
you.
in the right spot.
Oh, good.